Last week on Mike Noble Digging, the Backcountry Diggers got a rare opportunity to hunt a dream location of theirs, Fort Lindley. Duran Ashmore told us a little bit about the history of Fort Lindley, and he showed us some of the things we might have been able to see if we could go back 244 years ago. This week we get to walk around and see what's left of the fort today. We get a little bit of a hunt in and find some really great relics, and we get a surprise visit of the legend himself, the man who discovered Fort Lindley. So here we go. Duran Ashmore, a local historian, is taking us on a walk around to see what's left of the fort today. Along the way, he explains how a man with a metal detector in 1976 is the reason why we even know why this fort is here today.
Very interesting feature from Fort Lindley. This is the Fort Lindley pit. We don't exactly know what it was for. When Fort Lindley was first rediscovered in the 1970s, and it was rediscovered by Roy Christie, who's a local historian, lives in Hickory Tavern. Roy took a metal detector to this pit, and inside he found a brass button about 1.25 inches across. He found 3 links of a homemade chain, and he found half of a pewter spoon. And those items now are in the Lawrence County Museum. While we're here...
Incidentally, that singular event is what gave the Backcountry Diggers the inspiration to seek out and find lost historical landmarks today.
Now, David Fanning, who was the Tory who attacked this place, he describes a fort built of logs. That's the only description that we have of Fort Lindley. A fort built of logs. Now, I think it was right here. This is the high ground. One thing that Revolutionary War forts had in common, they had a 360-degree view, and they had water. So there's a wonderful spring at the bottom of that hill over there. But I feel like, this is the high ground. This is where the fort would have been. But I feel like the entrance is over in this area. And there's also some indications that the old Colonial Road ran that way. So we'll go check that out.
We're actually walking inside one of these trenches that Trent just told us about. And this used to go all the way around. This used to go all the way around the fort.
So there's more happening on this spot rather than any other spot at the fort. We've got a pile of rocks over there. And we've got a pile of rocks you can see through the woods over on this side. Plus there's another secondary trench that's running from that point. What could be the old Colonial Road is running along the bottom of this hill. I think this may have been the entrance to Fort Lindley. Much of what I'm discussing today is supposition. It's supposition based on other Revolutionary War forts that I have studied. But interpretation here is better than in many other sites. But still, there are some questions about just exactly how this fort was laid out. But what I think these piles of rocks are is shooting platforms. I think they may have been surrounded by like a circular placement of the palisades. The rocks piled in the middle created elevated platforms that defenders could have shot from. I doubt that the entrance was straight in to this fort. I have a feeling that you would have to come up to a certain area, turn, and then enter the fort. They would make this fort as hard as possible to get in.
I've got a trip in place.
So here we have another pile of rocks. This could be a random pile of rocks. This could have been part of a defensive structure. And if you'll look, this point dominates a 180-degree view of any attackers who would be approaching from this point. And remember that the Cherokees and Tories had this fort completely surrounded when shots rang out on the night of July 15, 1776. What happened? David Fanning describes a brisk 2-hour exchange of gunfire. Matthew Brown says the defenders here, after they had enough of that shooting, they charged out of the front door. I don't know why he calls it a front door. He says they charged out of the front door 10 abreast and broke the Indian attack. David Fanning says when Colonel Beard's men came from a quarter mile away, the attack was called off at that time. Matthew Brown says we found much blood but no Indians. David Fanning says the only casualty was one Indian chief shot through the hand. But you know, the defenders here described a blood-strewn field. And if there were any Cherokee and Tory deaths, they were, you know, carried off and hauled away. The next morning, the defenders of the fort formed a skirmish line a half-mile wide and marched out of the fort at dawn looking for stragglers, wounded, that sort of thing. 3 miles away, they came upon a clearing, and in that clearing, they found 30 horses, saddles, saddlebags, and parched corn strewn about the field. In the saddlebags, they found the commission papers of James Lindley, the owner of this fort. Captain James Lindley attacked his own house. That's what happened during that time. Remember that James Lindley had signed a parole, probably. We don't have a record of that parole. But they wouldn't have let him go unless he signed a parole never to fight again. But here he is. They have proof that he's attacking his own house. Now, we have no record of what James Lindley did for the next 18 months. He was obviously in Cherokee territory at that time. In December of 1778, the British took Savannah, and they marched up and took Augusta as well. During that time, there was a resurgence of Loyalist activity, and there was a Loyalist commander named John Boyd who came through this area gathering supporters from this area and North Carolina as well. He raised a 600-man army, and they were marching down to Augusta to join with the British forces there. Well, James Lindley joined up with that force, and as they were marching to join the British in Augusta, Andrew Pickens got between Augusta and John Boyd's force, and Andrew Pickens, with the force of 200 men versus Boyd's 600 men, attacked the Loyalists at the Battle of Kettle Creek, which is not far from Augusta down in Georgia. And Andrew Pickens was victorious because the Loyalist forces had very low morale. John Boyd got killed during that battle. James Lindley got captured for the second time. He was captured at Canebrake. Now he's captured at the Battle of Kettle Creek. So James Lindley is taken to 96, where he's put on trial for treason, and he, along with 4 other men, were hung by the neck because they had broken parole, and in the eyes of the court at 96, they had committed treason. So that's the end of James Lindley. But his name continues to this day with recognition of this fort, which is Fort Lindley.
The history of Fort Lindley is absolutely fascinating. And now, we pick up our metal detecting hunt from where we left off last week.
Alright, this is what Chet found. It is big. It's Mickey Mouse. Wow. That is a huge lock. Look at that thing. That's what Chet found, huh?
Yeah.
Where was he?
He was down on the other side of where we think the gate may have been, between where we think the gate was and the Colonial Road.
You may have just got confirmation on that.
Yeah.
Durant. That's a cool piece.
That is a cool piece. We have Chester to thank for that.
Yes. Roy Christie would be proud.
Yeah,
yeah,
he would be.
Awesome. I came over to one of these stone piles, and right there I dug a square nail. I find that very interesting. I wonder what needed a square nail by this stone pile. Now if this was any other place, I'd say that was a chimney and there was a house right here up against it, but we don't think that's the case in this particular case. But that is cool. And I will turn it over. Tom comes over. He says, I have a Fort Lindley gooder.
Fort Lindley gooder, buddy.
Something that belonged to the inhabitants of Fort Lindley, he said. Oh. Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Look at the offset shank. It was handy.
Wow. Wow, now that is a pewter button.
You think so?
I know, so it's got a seam right there, and I've dug one like that before. That is a pewter button.
It rang up kind of on the high end, but it was jumpy too. So you're right. You might be right.
You got you a cup button. There's a seam running from end to end on the button, from one side of the shank to the other. One of the men that we heard about that was here during 1770. When was it, 1775? Drop that, buddy.
I believe he did.
This guy made history books. Right here.
I think it was shot off his sleeve.
You think it was shot off his sleeve? Did you show that to Durant yet?
I did, but I had no idea it was a pewter button when I showed it.
I'm very sure this is a pewter button.
I'll let you have that discussion with him. It'll be good for you.
I'll have that discussion with him.
Alright.
Very cool, buddy.
Yes. Yes.
You don't know what you got? Huh.
It's a square nail, or made like a square nail, but they purposed that for something else.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
They bent that on, that bend was made by heat. It was done on purpose.
That's awesome, man. I like it. I'm heading down to talk to Chet. Apparently he found some good stuff, so I'm going to look him up and see what he's got. Well, hey guys. Heard you had some success. How about you, Landon?
I've not.
You have not.
The only thing I found was that lock plate. And
oh, we got another pile of rocks right here, don't we?
I don't know what that is. It's brass of some sort.
Yeah, it is. I have no idea. It had a shape for something, didn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know how big that musket balls y'all been finding. How big is the bucking balls y'all been finding?
Small. This is what I heard about. Yep, that has been fired.
Yep.
So you found it right over here, about where we parked, huh?
Yeah, right out front.
There's a good possibility that that's where our battle took place then.
Yeah, I think they were firing this way.
And we weren't sure about that. I mean, to us, seeing the landscape the way it is now, it'd be easier to think that's what it is.
Right.
But it could have been from everywhere, from any direction.
Any direction.
But it looks like it was right over there. That is sweet, man. I love it.
And I found an old pocket knife.
Did you?
I mean, it ain't nothing to do with Here, put that in your relish case.
All right. What you got, Tracy?
This piece come out first. Looks like some type of a pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else you got?
And then this piece come out.
That's a square nail.
And then there's that piece. I didn't clean that up any.
That's got a pin through it.
And then there's this thing. That looks mechanical. See the...
I think that is a lock. The back of your lock has these two ears, and they have holes.
It does.
Through it. Yeah, so that is either the rest of your lock,
It might be.
or that is an all-new lock that Tracy found.
All that stuff come out of one hole.
Yeah, because that ear right there is exactly the same as what's on the back of that lock plate.
Yeah.
So I bet those two ears right there, I bet if we put those two together,
They just might.
they might fit.
They just
Now,
might.
as far as these pieces, I don't know.
Think you found another lock, Tracy? I would think those were colonial.
Bunch of iron. Only on the board.
Yeah, I heard you found something interesting.
Toe tap.
Toe tap. That's a little modern for what we're looking for, buddy. Come on, man.
Hey, I'll take what I can get.
I love it. That's awesome. Still has some of the nails in it. Did you look for a date at the toe?
I didn't see anything.
That's cool. That's right around Civil War era right there. I love it. It's pretty. Bill, you're digging in this pit, and you got yourself an iron buckle, buddy.
Yeah.
You got yourself an iron buckle. Yeah. Right in the pit. He got himself an iron buckle. No kidding, buddy.
Oh, nice.
Right there.
See, that's why I've been digging iron.
Definitely, period. Nice job, Bill.
Wow. Good job,
Yeah.
buddy.
Down there, dude. That was like...
Now, you had a hole. You definitely had a hole there.
Wow. Nice. Beautiful.
There you go.
Up like iron?
one way it did. The other way, it rang up like 14.
Yeah.
So I was like 13, 14. I'm like, I'm digging that.
Yeah.
My detector's been acting up all day anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, that's definitely...
That Chet just pulled that one out. Look at that nail. Isn't that cool?
The group got a surprise visit from a local legend. Roy Christie, the man who discovered Fort Lindley, decided to show up with metal detector in hand.
We were just joined by Mr. Roy Christie. He you're the discoverer of Fort Lindley. Did you do it with your detector there? Or was it a different machine you used?
Well, the one I had was 40 years old. When I found this thing was in the 70s,
Well,
1976, wasn't it?
1976.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Very cool. I'm glad you're back up here with the machine again, and hopefully you can pull something else out of here.
There'd be anything left up here after what that caretaker told me.
We are finding things. You got some old bullets there.
Hit something, didn't it?
It sure did. One thing I found,
Yeah.
that's an old pencil.
Okay.
I've got a
Drop it out there.
musket. That ball right there fit.
It would have
Really?
42.5-inch barrel.
your boat.
Wow.
You
Wow.
can bark a squirrel with it.
I guess you could.
All that stuff.
You know why you barked a squirrel, did you?
You shove it right into the tree, don't you?
Yeah, bark so he don't trap
nice,
the meat.
Is
The
that
concussion kills him, see? Barking.
Gotcha.
But that thing shoots good. I've shot it many times.
This is something that Tom
That's the
found.
prettiest rose nail I've seen come out.
And that is definitely period for the time, as well as that
That
bullet.
is an excellent specimen.
A little Peter Button.
You know what makes them excellent, don't you?
Was that?
Fire.
Oh yeah, I never was.
Oh, well, look like I still got it.
Do you?
It's crude, but the only thing I found was in that pit over there. Where we were the pit at.
right here?
Right here.
Yeah, okay, that's where I found that button about that big around and a piece of a pewter spoon or fork
Right.
and 3 links of handmade chain. That was all I found.
Well, Bill just pulled something else out of there a few minutes ago.
Yeah. That's part of a
That's a buckle.
Belt buckle.
Either iron buckle, horse tack, or
I thought it might
And you
have
can
been,
still see where the tongue laid across there.
it looks like a piece of a brow.
Well, it may be.
you showing that lock plate.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You know, there may be something down there by the spring. Y'all been down there?
I haven't been down there yet.
Yeah, you showed me that lock.
Yeah. He's got a backhoe running down at that spring. He's covered everything up.
Knows what it is, what you're looking for. That's what
We have one that will do that. Yeah.
This you just have to guess what it. You know, you don't know what it is till you dig it up. But it'll show a ring. It'll show a ring. You know.
Right.
That looks mechanical.
Get at it.
All right, Bill. Enough about me now. Bill got himself some nice piece of period lead. Look how white that thing is. That thing hit hard too, whatever it hit. A little piece of buckshot there. So you have some evidence to that war, that little battle that was fought here. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
I have to see if I can find me something like that now. I like that.
Here's that breeze.
Yeah, we got a breeze now. Well, this is probably going to be about our day. That's why I ended up with that pit. Okay. Well, this is it. What we found is what we found. So, I'm thinking, I don't want to put like that button in this bag or anything. I may just let you, let me get the junk out of here. I may just let you take this whole thing with you.
Okay.
If I could get it back then.
Yeah, you can, for sure.
So that way some of that stuff is safe.
Okay, sounds good.
So, all right. And you guys are going to lay this out at the museum.
Right,
And you're going to go through what we found.
right. And we'll get some experts.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
Basically. We keep on. We can keep on finding it. We can put this thing back
Put 'em in
together.
there.
Yeah, just about. Well, that's it. We hunted the Fort Lindley site. We came out with some good stuff too. Then we had Tracy and his lock. We found a few bucking balls there. So this is it. I mean, just to think what all's happened here. A little battle that took place here. The men that held up here. All of them fighting for a cause, whether we agree with it or not. And we got to hit it. It's still an amazing thing to me. It really is. Your shovel broke, huh? We worked hard. He broke a shovel. Landon broke his shovel. Yeah, we hit this place hard. Tom still has his shovel. He's got predator tool.
Yeah.
Tracy's checking his over. We did it, guys. We did it.